Welcome, everybody, to Panthers on the Plus, our weekly Monday night breakdown of the prior Panthers game and look ahead to next Sunday. And, man, when I booked this guest, I thought we'd be having a whole different conversation than we're about to have. Joining us from Louisiana is none other than Panthers legendary quarterback Jake Delhomme, who was in Charlotte to call the Panthers' brutal loss to the New Orleans Saints, 17-7. Jake, in your view from the booth, and I know you talked about it on the Jordan and Jake podcast. I heard you with Kyle Bailey telling everybody, look, the Saints aren't that bad. From your view of in the booth, how did you process yesterday's Panthers loss?
Well, I did so many interviews last week, and that's just because of, I live here in Louisiana and the Saints and all that. So I did like 3 or 4 back here, and then I did a few in Charlotte. But the general theme was, listen, once we get past the Saints, and I'm like, are y'all not watching film? Like, I couldn't believe the questions I was getting asked in regards to like it was an afterthought. One is a division game. And 2, if you watch the film of the Saints, that's not that bad of a football team. It should have beaten Arizona week 1. They dropped a touchdown pass late in the game. Against Tampa, they had every opportunity to win the game. And then against the Rams, you're looking at one of the best teams in the NFL who just got after them. I mean, the Rams got after them. But this Saints football team has been in pretty much every football game. They gave New England some trouble. They gave Buffalo some trouble. And just, I don't know, it just seemed like it was an afterthought. And then when I watched this play yesterday, we just looked like a team that was never in sync, really and truly in any phase. Maybe not, punt return and punt team and kickoff return and things of that nature. But everything else looked like we were a team. We weren't together. It was like there was a hangover from the week prior up in Green Bay. And so that's kind of what it was. And trying to rewatch the film today, I tip my hat to the Saints defense, to be very honest. That front 7, they did a great job against our offensive line. I thought Demario Davis was fabulous at linebacker. I mean, there's a reason he's, 36 years old and still at the top of his game, a 5-time All-Pro. The way they filled gaps, they ran downhill, they were making every point to stop that run game because we struggled in the pass game yesterday. For whatever reason, we just never had any cohesion in the pass game.
Yeah, the fan base, Jake, and probably the media was feeling itself a little bit after that win at Lambeau, like you mentioned. And some interesting comments coming out of the locker room last night. Ike Ekwonu, talking about, hey, they had a couple of bad practices during the week, and that showed up. Rookie Nick Scorton today was saying things seemed lackadaisical the morning of the game. It's gotten to the point where Canales is being asked about it. But I just did you see any signs of maybe overlooking the Saints at all on the field?
You know what? I can't see. Well, listen, we didn't play well. So, I mean, that's where you're going to say, yes, we weren't ready. But, I mean, I just don't see that. I've seen this team, for whatever reason, the New England game, the Buffalo game, we didn't play good football. I go back to Jacksonville and Arizona. I think we were more turnover-driven earlier in those football games where we became one-dimensional and the game was out of reach. But it wasn't our best day, and I think it gets magnified because it was a one-win football team. But they got a shot in the arm with the young kid playing quarterback for them. He made some good plays yesterday, and we had opportunities. J.C. Horn will be the first to tell you he fell down on a couple of touchdown passes, and the one on the sideline when he fell down on Olave, he has him covered. It was a stutter go. He's in phase with him. It seems very similar to the interception he had at the Jets game, where he just stayed on the inside. Well, he fell, and I know JC wanted a flag on the play or push off, but and he addressed it after the game. Defense did fine, except me. I need to step up my game. I didn't play well yesterday, and I give him credit for doing that. It's just that was very unlike him. And on the offensive side of the ball, they made a full commitment. Like they were going to stop the run. But the strong point of that Saints football team is the front 7. They rotate some defensive linemen. They're big. They're strong defensive linemen, some big guys. Their linebackers play downhill. Their safeties got involved in the run game. Alontae Taylor has always given us fits when he plays especially when he goes inside at nickel. He's given us fits. He's a great blitzer, and we were not sharp yesterday. It was a combination of things that led for a lackluster performance by this football team. But we've shown we've been able to answer, right? And what better way to answer to get on the road, to go play an Atlanta team who we completely embarrassed when we played them last month, 30-0. So they're coming back. They had a rough game. Had to play 5 quarters yesterday up in Berlin, I believe, is where they
Yep.
played, and against a tough, physical Colts team who ran the ball right down their throat. So hopefully they're going to address some of that, and hopefully we can get back to running the football, and our passing game can kind of get caught up a little bit next week.
I do want to talk about that Atlanta game in a bit, especially Bryce Young's performance in that building last year, what he can take from it. But, you know, when a team, a young team, year 2 under Coach Canales, has a letdown like they did yesterday, is that kind of a part of the process of growing pains? And what helps a team, in your experience, turn that corner to where that kind of performance doesn't happen in that moment?
Listen, it's to get back on the field and do it. I mean, that's the biggest thing. I know the Green Bay game, I was pretty much like everyone else, unbelievably fired up to go on the road in that environment against a very good football team and beat them. And I was thinking back to last year when we had to go to Philadelphia and we had an opportunity to beat Philly late in that game, and we just couldn't close the door, but we did it last week. And so my mind was like, okay, are we there yet? Are we starting to get that turning that corner? Because we're still a team. We're still in the growth phase. Listen, I love where we're at. I love we have 5 wins. I love that we're 5-5, but we're still in the growth phase of building this, in my opinion. I don't want to, throw the pom-poms on the ground just yet. I liked where we're going, but we were a 5-win team last year. We were 2 wins the year before. This is a slow process with 12 rookies on the roster. I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just stating the facts. We're not there yet, but I think we're growing. And yesterday was a setback, but how do we respond to it? That's what it comes down to. 17 weeks, you're going to have some plunkers. There's going to be days where you just don't play well, and that was one yesterday. And we just have to accept it. You have to learn from it and grow. And if the players are talking about they weren't sharp at practice, well, what did we do different? Why weren't we sharp at practice? Did we not hone in enough? Are we thinking we've arrived? I can't answer that because I just don't know, because I'm not on the field or in the meetings and things like that. But you just got to address it as a team. The leaders have to step up and go forward.
Of course, we'll talk about the pass game in the next segment, but I want to get to the run game and run, Rico, run, and that whole ride came to a screeching halt at least for 1 week. When a team like the Saints kind of gets a blueprint, as everybody wants to talk about, against something you do really well, how do you go back the next week and correct, in this case, the run game, and when teams know how it's been stopped the week before?
Yeah, I'm not necessarily sure that it was a true blueprint. I think they had some good players, and I think they won some of the matchups up front yesterday. And their linebackers, they hit gaps. They were selling out to stop the run. And I'm not saying we won't see that this week in Atlanta. I just don't think they have the dudes up front as the Saints do. I mean, that was evident when you watch film. The Saints defense, that was a strong point. That they were good against, to me, watching, they're good against the run. They're stout, and they played well. So, listen, we run the ball right down Miami's throat. They struggle against the run. We ran it right down Dallas. That's a defense that's struggling mightily. We struggled running it somewhat against the Jets. We get the lead against the Jets, and we just kind of played, keep away in that regard. And then we didn't play well at all against Buffalo. And then you go to Green Bay, and we did a great job of playing the win. I don't think Green Bay was at their best. I think it's just one of those games. I think I'm anxious to watch Green Bay play tonight to see, if they flushed what happened last week. We caused them not to play well, and they seemed very frustrated. And I think the Saints did that to us yesterday, and they got momentum. And give credit to the young quarterback. He made some plays. We had opportunities to sack him. He fought through that. He extended plays. He didn't play like a true rookie. And the Taysom Hill effect. Taysom Hill has always given us fits. And when you have that, when Taysom lines up as a quarterback, it's 11 on 11 now, right? It's not that you're not minus a player being the quarterback's not involved in the run game. Now he's the run game. So they did a good job. I tip my hat to the Saints. They came ready to play, and they executed more than we did. Because I really and truly, the more you think about it, like it was so frustrating because it's just we didn't play well at all. But we had every chance. We were there still in that football game. So the growth is still coming. It's just it was one of those days yesterday.
All right, more with Jake Delhomme on the Panthers loss to the Saints, looking ahead to Atlanta, and we're talking pass game and Bryce Young coming up. Welcome back to Panthers on the Plus, talking the Panthers' brutal 17-7 loss to the New Orleans Saints with none other than former Panthers quarterback Jake Delhomme from Louisiana, back home after that one. Jake, we got to talk about the passing game because it just seemed like once the Panthers couldn't get it going in the run game for the first time in a while, they just didn't have an answer through the air. From your perspective as the former quarterback of this team and your perspective from above the field in the booth, what do you think was going wrong there, and why do you think there weren't as many shots as a lot of people would have liked to see?
I think one thing, I thought they did a good job of kind of sending pressure on us, and I think we had some miscommunication up front. I think Cam Jordan had one sack, whereas Icky passed him off to go block, I believe it was Alontae Taylor, and him and Rico, there was a miscommunication. So I think some had to do with some communication issues, but I just think the Saints did a good job of getting pressure and having Bryce get out the pocket or not get out the pocket and getting a sack on him. And it just, there was never any rhythm in the passing game. I thought we were close on a couple of passes down the left sideline. I thought we tried to throw a back shoulder to T-Mac. Looked like he fought through it, but just couldn't get it. And then after there was no rhythm offensively. It's like we never got in a rhythm because besides the opening drive, and I think we were lucky because we had a face mask call on Bryce that extended the drive on an interception that there was never rhythm on offense. Nothing ever seemed to come easy, and it just seemed like it was just off. For whatever reason, It was just off. The one time Bryce stepped up in the pocket down the left sideline, throwing to Xavier Legette, I don't know if he lost it, couldn't see it, if it was too far out of bounds. It's just one of those that from looking at it, it's like, okay, was that an opportunity? And you see another angle, and I don't know if he just didn't pick it up, didn't see it. I can look for every excuse in the book. I just think you got to give the Saints credit. I think they had a really good plan against us, especially up front. And I think they got physical with us up front and caused some problems, and nothing was ever smooth.
When you look at Bryce Young's weapons that are available in the pass game, it is almost exclusively first or second year players, Jake. I mean, how much of that you think is kind of bearing itself out and still being worked through on the field?
No, we're a work in progress. That's still, you can still see that. Listen, T-Mac, we've seen him catch the ball. We've seen him play. This kid's going to be a good player. I mean, he's already shown some flashes. But the young guy, I think the same thing with Legette. I don't know if we've truly found that role for him yet. We've seen, like, I watched him against the Jets. I believe he had 8 or 9 catches for 92 yards or 94 yards. You saw some flashes there. Jalen Coker, we were excited to get him back. And I don't know if it's been talked about much, but on the touchdown run by Rico, he gets blocked into. He's blocking his guy into the end zone, and he gets kind of bumped in the leg, and he was gimpy. It took him a while to get off the field, and you watched him on the sideline. I'm constantly watching those guys, and it's like he was constantly working through that all game long. So I don't know if that something was kind of bothering him. You saw Mitchell Evans walk off the field and come back, look like an ankle was taped a little more heavily. And I don't think we've seen JT Sanders. I kind of thought I'd have seen more from him so far this year. He dropped some weight. I know he looked good in camp, but we just haven't seen that yet. He had the high ankle. So I just think we're still we trade away Adam Thielen because we have a bunch of younger guys that looks like they're going to step up, where Adam was that security blanket for Bryce last year. Last 2 years, third down, fourth down, those big plays. Now we're starting to get Jimmy Horn in to get that speed element, but we tried to get him involved yesterday. It was unfortunate on the handoff between he and Bryce on the speed sweep, which I think would have been a positive play for us, and we could have gotten points on that drive. So it's just something that listen, it's still a work in progress, and I don't know if we truly know, besides the run game and how we want to run the football, what are we yet in the passing game? Arizona, we threw for a bunch of yards, but we were so far behind, and that's more catch-up mode. And then a couple of the other games, I think we threw against like Dallas and Miami or whatever it was, maybe Atlanta. I'm getting my games mixed up. 199 yards, 198 yards, but we ran the ball so well. In those games is that once you get that lead and things like that start to happen, hey, let's control the clock. Let's do what we have to do to come out with a win.
If I don't envy Dan Morgan in a lot of ways, but man, it would be so hard for me to evaluate Bryce Young when you're talking about like big picture, because sometimes he just looks like he did at the end of last season, like he does at the end of games where he's so good in those moments, and sometimes he still has a bad day like he did yesterday, a bad interception. I don't know what your view of it was, but what have you seen from Bryce Young so far in his third season? What do you want to see going forward through his last 7 games?
Yeah, I'd like to see the last 5-6 weeks of the season, what I saw in 24 when we played the Chiefs, when we played Philadelphia, when we played in Atlanta last year. When he's really, but remember, Thiel's making some plays, right?
Yep.
David Moore, veteran player, made a bunch of plays last year. That comfort level. So I think it's still a work in progress. Or the receivers taking the right angles? Does Bryce think they're going in a certain direction? So I think that's being worked through. In a sense, and I don't know this, but in listening to any of Bryce's interviews, he's never going to throw anybody under the bus.
Yeah.
He's never. It's just like, hey, I got to do better, and he's taking all the blame, and that's why the players love him. But I have a feeling that's still a work in progress of them kind of understanding exactly what we are pass game wise. Yesterday on the pick to Alontae Taylor, he showed like he was going to pressure, and then he backed out. It's called buzz. He buzzed underneath it. I just think Bryce missed it. I just think he underthrew it. He can get it right over his head because the cornerback had fallen way off. I mean, that's buzz coverage. You just got to get it up and over. Sometimes you just don't have one of your better days. I know I lived with many of those in my life. I had a lot of rough Sundays where I didn't have, my best stuff. But it's just some of those things that I've seen him do already. And yeah, we need to be more consistent in the pass game. Certainly, I'd like to see us take another shot or two. I don't know how that comes about, using Jimmy Horn's speed, because we have more of the bigger type receivers. Jalen Coker is one that I think he can run a little bit, but just he was late when he got hurt. So he was on IR, and then he's just starting to come back. And so we didn't see a bunch of him yesterday, but I know what he can do catching the football. So I just think we're a work in progress right now. It's not there yet. I'd love to see the next 7 weeks, see if we can start to complement that run game and see if we can knock out some wins along the way, and who knows what happens late in the season.
All right, Dave Canales said today, maybe Victory Mondays late, at this half of the season was a bad strategy. I mean, it's just one game. It didn't work out this time. He gave him Monday off, although you're not really off that Monday. But
right.
Can you just speak to, what it takes to get that Monday off and respond to it with a good week of practice and a good game on Sunday?
Well, okay, so the Victory Mondays, I think as players, you all loved them, right? And we had our fair share with Coach Fox. But I think when you have a loss, you look at everything, and you're going to be critical of everything. But I believe they had a Victory Monday a couple of weeks prior, after the Buffalo game. I think that was a Victory Monday because there's like a more of a self-assessment after every 4 games. And then we come back and we beat Green Bay. So you look at everything, you want to be extremely critical. But the one thing that I think you have to factor in, and it's not an excuse, it's a fact. There's 12 rookies on this roster, and not counting how many others on practice squad. It's a young football team. It's very, very young. And so when your best player is Derek Brown, who is still a young player, and then J.C. Horn is still a very young football player, like, it's still young. And so these young kids, they're still learning. So with 12 rookies on the team, was the mindset a little different with a couple of them on a Victory Monday? And like, oh, wow, that's what it's like. Do you kind of take your foot off the pedal a little bit? That's human nature. That happens sometimes. And so I think you have to be critical. You want to look at everything. But then again, you don't want to overthink it sometimes. We did not play well. Why didn't we play well? Did I not prepare as much? Was I not as sharp on the practice field? You've heard some of the players say, hey, we didn't have a sharp week of practice. So you hone in more, and everybody does a little more detailed work. You got to be detailed, man. I mean, who would have ever thought yesterday Miami would beat Buffalo by almost 20 points? It's the NFL. It's very difficult, and division games are so tough. They're so tough, division football games, and that's what it was yesterday. The Saints came in, they played better than us, they performed better than us, and they didn't make the mistakes that we made. So, young football team who feeling good about themselves after Green Bay. For whatever reason, we didn't translate on Sunday. Not sure if during the course of the week if that had something to do with it, but it's a lesson learned if it did.
All right, one more quick segment with Jake Delhomme coming up. We're talking about that next division game next Sunday in Atlanta, and boy, did Bryce ball out last time he was down there. We'll be right back. All right, Panthers on the Plus. Have the great pleasure of talking with Jake Delhomme, former Panthers legendary quarterback. And Jake, as we move ahead towards this big division game in Atlanta, I want to ask you this. Should Bryce Young watch film from last year's Atlanta game, even though it wasn't the last time he faced the Falcons, just because he played so well and he had a lot of confidence in that ball game?
Yeah, I think you have to. I mean, that's kind of something you always do because it's all personnel matchups and things like that. And yeah, there are a few new players from last year, but absolutely, Bryce was playing well. That was a track meet back and forth in that football game. I believe he threw for 3 and ran for 2, if I'm not mistaken, in that game. And then going back to when we played them this year, you have to go back and watch that football game. I don't think Atlanta was at their best that day. I think we had something to do with it. So they're going to look to rebound, and they're going to be at home, and that film's going to be watched and dissected. And those guys are going to remember the beating that they took down in the Bank of America Stadium. So, yeah, I hope there's a hangover on their part, traveling all the way from Berlin back here, playing 5 quarters. I think that's a big deal. And I keep saying 5 quarters because that overtime, that's a lot of plays. And then to get back on that long flight to come back, it's that could have a cumulative effect of a team that's being a little slower maybe the next week. And hopefully we're kind of playing a little faster.
If Jake Delhomme had to watch one of his games to get out of a slump, which one would it be? Would it be the Bears playoffs game? Where are you going?
Oh God, that's a good question, man. That'd be a fun one to watch. I don't know. I don't know where exactly I would go. I'd probably go with one that you wouldn't think of. That Bears playoff game. It was I'm throwing to Smitty that day. They were I couldn't believe what they were trying to single cover him even in the second half. I was shocked on a couple of those. But yeah, I don't know. That's a great question. But you want to find one where you're in rhythm, right? Where you're in rhythm, you don't take a sack, you get rid of the football, you do the next best thing. I'm not saying it's a great game, touchdown passes and 0 interceptions, but what did you do to enable your team to win, be it a run check, pass check, go from one play to the next, whatever it may be, just to help your team win.
All right, and what did the entire team do well against Atlanta in that, 30-0 shutout? They won in all phases. That you think they can carry a couple weeks later here?
Yeah, listen, I think it's all phases, right? I think it was just I thought our special teams, I believe that was the Fitzgerald. He had a ton of great kickoffs, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. The dirty balls is like everybody wants to call them, the dirty kicks. And so we won yardage on special teams, and we ran the ball pretty well, but defensively we caused them problems. We made Penix he wasn't sure, and we controlled Bijan Robinson. Listen, their running back, this guy's special. He's not pretty good. He is special, Bijan Robinson, and they're going to run their wide zones. And Drake London, he's really elevated himself. Always loved him as a player, how he attacked the football with his hands, big long target, and just to watch him play this year, it's still the same thing. He's a guy that's he's showing up week in and week out. Kyle Pitts is having somewhat of a resurgence. They've gotten Mooney back. I don't believe Mooney played against us. So weaponry-wise, the Atlanta has a lot of weapons on offense. They have some injuries on the offensive line. So we need Derek Brown and the boys to kind of really step up their game and cause a lot of problems, because that's whenever Penix, he wasn't comfortable in the pocket. And I think that led to a lot of issues Atlanta had that day.
All right, Jake, despite, as bad as Sunday against the Saints felt, I mean, Panthers are still right in the thick of this division race. Is that part of the message in that locker room heading to Atlanta this week?
Well, I think it's always the message, but I don't think there needs to be a message in the locker room, to be quite honest. That's a prideful football team. I think the Panthers are, and they were embarrassed yesterday. I don't think there's any doubt. I think they were embarrassed, and nothing gets somebody going than just that pride factor of knowing I wasn't at my best yesterday. And I'm so anxious to watch J.C. Horn this week, to be very honest. I just think he's a special football player, just the length and his speed and how he can attack a ball. And it was a rough day yesterday for him, and he admitted it. And that's what I think I enjoyed about it. It wasn't like, yeah, we didn't have a good day. I mean, he basically said the defense played fine. I let him down. That's a strong message. I think that message resonates in the locker room. I think you saw the quarterback and Bryce doing the same thing. I think Icky said the same thing. Hey, we got to have details down pat more. So I'm looking forward to this team to bounce back. Tough division game on the road, and that feeling that you have on a Monday, it's almost like a funeral after a loss, especially when you don't play well. It's just that sick feeling, but you have to flush it, right? You can't let one loss lead to two. You can't let it carry over. You have to accept the film, learn from the film, accept what you did wrong, and then start to rectify it going forward.
Well, they've done that the last couple of times out. Jake Delhomme, thank you so much for your time, man. I know Panthers fans are going to love to hear from you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun so far. It's things are starting to turn. You just want to see if we can finish strong. Have this finish strong, and who knows what happens. See what happens, and go from there.
Quick plug for you for Jordan and Jake, because I think I got a tuna recipe out of you last time.
All right.
Last week.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Yeah.
All right,
that
Jake.
Jordan
Thanks.
and Jake deal. Yeah, that's Jordan Gross. You never know which avenue it's going to go. This guy is special, man. You never know which way it's going to go, and I enjoy being able to get on the phone with him weekly.
All right, Jake. Thank you.
Yeah, man.